I think from the moment we met, it just blew me away. His work ethic, his mentality, his drive, the character that he was. Showed me on a screen the first time we met how I'd fit into their team and how he can see me playing. And it just took me away, and I was like, I feel wanted. You feel like, loved and supported straight away. So I joined and never looked back, really. He's a great person in terms of, he's a coach and he's there to help you develop as a player, but also as a person. I remember him giving players a parenting book when they first had their child. Just little things like that, and would pull you in. And he has this ability to just know you're not right when you're not right, really. And he pulls me in on other occasions sometimes, like, is everything okay? And it might not be, and I might not want to reveal it to him at the time, but I'm just like, how's he sensed that something might be up? And I think it's probably just having that connection, and we've got a great relationship, him and his staff, and we've worked together for many years now. And even when he was out of work and he was having some time out, our sons are the same age. So they were playing in the same team at Bournemouth Academy. So I'd actually see him on the side of the pitch. And that's when we'd started, we'd just talk and he would reflect and be like, I was watching games and give me like an analysis really from an outsider's point of view on how I looked. And, your penalty was good, this and that. And then it wasn't until he was starting to get rumoured with the job, I'd turn up to my son's football and he'd be the other side of the cage and I'd be like, why is he avoiding me all the way over there? Have I done something to upset him? And that's when I knew, okay, he's going to become my manager again. So he's putting that barrier back up between player and coach.
Brilliant. And is it one bit of advice or a moment in your relationship that you feel encapsulates the strength of it?
He's created a family feel. I think that's probably what brought me to Eddie and what he created there. And he's done the same thing at Newcastle. He's very family orientated. So we now as a team are like a brotherhood. And, even the staff and players are so close. Every department is also close. And I think he brought that in when he come, because, we had fantastic players, but we're all individuals within a team. And he's brought that team work ethic. Throughout his career, I've noticed there's, sometimes he'll take players that might not have the best ability and the best talent, but have unbelievable work ethic and are willing to learn and be sponges and turn them into great players. I think, for example, of late, Jacob Murphy, you've probably seen one of the biggest turnarounds. And that's just solely from him investing in time in him, giving him the confidence, and he's flourishing now, which is fantastic.
Newcastle, 19th in the table, I think, when you joined them. What was your first impression of Eddie Howe?
I'd spoken to people about him, so I knew what he was about. Like, very, very intense. The way that he works, which I love. Like, I love training anyway, so I was more than happy with that. But yeah, just got the impression that it wasn't always just about wanting you to be a better footballer, just want to improve you like as a person, and like really cared about you, rather not just like me the footballer, like me the person and my family and all that sort of stuff.
So he would have put a lot of effort then in to make sure that you're the right kind of character as well as the right kind of footballer.
Yeah, I think that I would think that's the whole team together. Like, they do the due diligence. Like I said, I got a text off a friend just before I signed saying, "I'll thank us later," and I was like, "Oh, what's he on about?" And then I'd learned that the manager getting in touch with like some people who worked for Newcastle but like knew my local area, to get in touch with people that knew me and my friends to see if there'd be sort of a bad influence on us, like when I was back home, which was good though, because then I think you always know that you're bringing in the right characters. From speaking to people, I sort of knew what his standards about, but it was about sort of that intensity he worked at. It was more like the way that the trainers, the way that the play, at like sort of leading by example. I feel like it really pushes me out of my comfort zone and like what he asks of us from like a leadership point of view sometimes, which is good, because I think like at the time I'm like, oh man, I don't know if I want to do that. But then when you realise that he's just trying to like make you a better person. Did he tell you about timelines or not?
No.
It's a thing called timeline, essentially. So it's there's been a time limit put on it now because Nick Pope's was like 40 minutes long and like we ended up having to push training back. But yeah, so you get up and basically you speak 10 minutes about anything, but it tends to be like your life and how you, like who you grew up with, like all that sort of stuff. But it's good because I think football, like, you only know people from like a superficial point of view. So it's like, you all right, mate? How are you? Like, what did you do last night? What are you doing in the summer? That sort of stuff. Whereas you don't really like learn about people, but the timeline, like, so like, for instance, Joe Linton, like, being brought up in Brazil, like, pictures of where he used to live, like what he used to have to do to get a training and his journey. And I feel as if, like, because like you're quite vulnerable with it, like, it brings everyone really tightly together. Do you know what I mean? So even like just little stuff like that doesn't seem a big thing, but then like it gives you appreciation of what someone else has been through, and like you can see it from their point of view.
Here's the truth. Your body is like an engine, and you need to keep it at its best day in, day out. I mean, think of it this way. You wouldn't fuel a racing car on cheap fuel. So why are you doing similar to your body? I take Heights Vitals. I take them every single day. They stop me feeling run down, sluggish. I used to have brain fog. Not anymore. 2 small capsules. These act as my premium grade fuel. I'm keeping with the racing metaphor. So Vitals are a blend of vitamins, nutrients, minerals, omega-3, all the Bs, basically everything you need to perform at your best. So if you're looking for something that keeps you in the driving seat with your nutrition, your brain and body health, then this is it. Taken by athletes, Olympians, and even some well-known racing drivers. This stuff works. So if you're looking to fuel right this year, go to heights.com/Jake or enter the code HP20 at checkout for 20% off your first order and start your journey today. I think it's really clever what Eddie's come up with there.
I think it's really made with a lot tighter. Like, I think from the outside, I think people see a quite tight-knit group, but the amount of time you spend with these people, you spend like more time than with your family, a lot of it. So I think it just helps bringing everyone together, and it's like not where it's like a staff and a players, it's just like us as a team, like all trying to pull in that one direction.
Let's talk then about this mixing the kind of emotional strength that he's given you all and this unity with his incredibly in-depth tactical work. You know, as you know, I'm friends with a couple of other players in the Newcastle dressing room, and they say they've never known a manager to approach tactics in the way that Eddie Howe does.
Yeah.
Would you explain this idea around his patterns for us?
Yeah, without giving too much away. Yeah. I feel like now it's very easy for us to do because you've done it for so long. But so we'll have sort of like 6 or 7 patterns, depending on whereabouts we are on the pitch, and he'll say a pattern name. So I'm not going to say what the name is, but say it's like zebra. But we'll know exactly where the passes are going and the idea behind it. And it's not so much that might come off exactly in a game, but it's more just like a principle that you try and do, and then there's different ones for us dropping into a back 3 and players dropping down from like a in football term from like an 8 position into a 6 position, and in the way that it happens. But I feel that's something that like over time it's developed and it's always changing, where the gaffer has like never really stood still. So like the patterns we do now aren't the patterns we were doing when he first came in. Do you know what I mean? Because I feel as if you stop, like people overtake, he's like constantly trying to evolve it. And
so is it almost like, let's say, I don't know, their goalkeeper plays the ball out to a centre half and he plays a diagonal ball, right? You all know in your head that if that's what happens, that is a certain pattern for you.
Yeah.
Everyone then moves into their right positions. Yeah. And then therefore you're not second guessing what your teammates are doing.
No, like, so I'm like pretty much know where the ball's going before the ball gets to me, just by the way it's been built up and come round or different ways. Do you know what I mean? So it's good because it allows we're creative players in the attacking third to have that freedom to do what they do, but it also makes it predictable, where you know, right, if Anthony Gordon gets it on this left wing here and he cuts inside, I know exactly where the ball's going to be, like where I've got to be. Do you know what I mean?